Today we're going to go over the CoilMac-ECI manual punch electric coil inserter. This particular machine is designed to punch holes and insert PVC coil. You may have seen similar type notebooks in school. They're often referred to as spiral notebooks. This particular machine inserts PVC coil, which is now replacing the older metal coil. One of the problems that we had with the metal coil is that it bends very easily, it can be damaged, and the PVC coil is very durable, does not bend, and maintains its form without a problem. This particular machine is a 4-to-1 punch, which means it will punch 4 holes per inch. There's also what's known as 5-to-1 pitch coil binding, where 5 holes are punched per inch. It's just a matter of preference. 4-to-1 pitch can bind a thicker book because the holes are spaced a little bit farther apart. This particular machine, you can see on here exactly where the holes will be punched. And that's kind of nice because you can see exactly where that punching die is going to come down. And it is designed to punch different sizes of paper. Now obviously here in the United States, 8.5 by 11 is going to be the most common size you'll punch, which is what it's set up for right now. There's a side guide right here with a thumb screw that can just be loosened up, and that can be slid back and forth. Over here you can punch 14-inch, 13-inch, 11-inch, and A4 size paper. It's also set up so that you can punch 8.5 by 11. So there's an 8.5 mark. So if I were doing 8.5, the 8.5 inch side of a 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, I just move it up to that line there, tighten the thumb screw, and now I'm set up to punch the 8.5 inch side of a sheet of paper. This machine does come with some disengaging dies, which are right up here. And that's just designed to allow you to keep that hole from punching if for some reason you're getting half a hole punching on the edge of the paper. So it's set up on both the left and the right side, depending on the size of paper that you're punching. It's also set up to do A5 size paper, which is right here. Again, it has a disengaging die here for the A5 size paper, which is kind of nice. Another nice feature about the CoilMac-ECI is that it is open-ended, which means if you're punching an extra long sheet of paper, it goes right through without a problem. If you're doing longer paper, it does have a notch right here, so that will set right in there and keep your paper that fits right on the holes that you punch, and that allows you to keep the holes lined up as you continue to punch longer paper. It also has an adjustable margin depth, which you can see over here, the green being very close to the edge of the paper, going over to the red meaning it punches very far into the paper. And I'll show you an example of that right now. I'm going to put it over to the green, which means it's not going to punch very deep. Make sure that's flush right up against the back of the machine, or it'll punch the holes at an angle. So that's right at the edge. Now I can adjust that so that it punches deeper into the paper. Now the advantage of that is if you're punching a thicker book, you're going to want to punch a little bit farther into the paper because for some reason with the larger documents, the pages tear out much easier than normal. If you're doing a thinner book, say 20 to 40, maybe even a little more than that, you should be just fine punching close to the edge. If you're doing anything thicker, I'd recommend punching in a little bit farther to keep those papers from tearing out. Now this is an electric coil inserter, so there is a power switch right here that you can turn on and off. When it's on, there's a little LED in there that will light up and let you know that it is activated. And of course you do need to make sure that you have the machine plugged in as well. And it comes with a foot switch which operates the coil inserter. So as that's pushed in, it will turn that rubber roller right there on and will spin. And that allows the coil to spin through the pre-punched holes. And that's especially nice because it spins that coil through very quickly And with some of the lower end coil binding machines, they don't have an inserter, which means you're going to have to insert that coil through the holes by hand manually. And I'd say this is 10 times faster than doing that. In fact, it spins the coil through the holes so fast that you have to be careful not to overspin it through and send it out the other end. And I'll show you how to do that here in just a minute. Now, as you punch the paper, there is a tray that will catch the punched paper. And as that fills up, you can pull it out, take it over to a garbage can, and empty that. And it just slides right back in. So that's pretty much the basics of this machine. I'd like you to keep in mind that it is designed to punch up to 20 sheets of standard 20-pound copy paper. The holes have a 4mm radius, and the full punching length of this machine is 13 inches. And again, as I mentioned before, it does have an open end allowing you to punch longer paper if needed, which is a nice feature of this machine. So what I'm going to do to start with, I'm going to create a document, which could be a report, a book, pretty much anything that you need to bind. Okay, I'm now going to punch some cover stock, in this case black cover stock, for the back of my report. I've got this inside of the machine and I'm ready to punch it. One thing you will want to take into consideration is that you can punch more than one sheet if needed. And you'll also want to make sure that it is flush against the back of the machine so that the holes aren't punched crooked. So there's my back sheet for the report. Now I've got the back cover punched, and I'm going to use a clear cover for the front of my report. Again, make sure that is flush against the back of the machine. And as with the back cover, you can punch more than one of these at a time if needed. You probably can't see that because this is a clear cover, but the holes are punched through that. And now I'm ready to start punching the regular paper that goes inside. Again, this can punch up to 20 sheets of standard 20-pound copy paper at a time. And you just want to do sections at a time. So I've now finished punching the paper that will go inside of my report, and you want to make sure that the holes are flush and lined up with each other. I'm going to take that clear cover, I'm going to place that on the front, and I'll take that back cover and put that on the back, and now I'm ready to put the coil binding element through those holes. I'd recommend putting the coil through the first 2 to 3 holes to start off with. Now you want to be careful because this does insert the coil very quickly. If you're not careful, this could happen. Now I recommend putting the coil through the first 2 to 3 holes and let the machine do the rest until you have about ½ inch on each side. Then you want to take the coil crimping pliers with the red dot pointed in towards the book and clip off the excess coil. Make sure that it crimps in. This keeps it from slipping back out through the holes. As you see, it can't go back through that hole again. And you have a nicely bound, coil-bound document. One nice thing about the coil is that when you open the report, it can lie perfectly flat, or you can completely wrap it around if you're reading something. And it looks very professional.